There was a strong sense of anticipation. Everybody was nervous but very anxious.
You know, the plan was, and what we told all the employees was, we're going to turn the lights off in the old terminal and the next morning show up to work in the new terminal.
We had to ensure that the terminal was properly designed and that all the puzzle pieces were together, ready for the opening day, October 30th.
The old facility was well beyond its useful life, and I think, you know, in order for us to facilitate growth for the community, it was time, it was needed.
You can only take 4 aircraft on the old gates, and then you were maxed out. And I knew that, you know, we had multiple elevators here, and it sounds like a small thing, but there was one elevator that the passengers could utilize in the old terminal. And if it failed, we didn't have an elevator.
The efficiencies that we have in this building, not just the accessibility features, but all of the building systems that are more efficient that we could not have retrofitted in the old building, just, you know, made so much more possible.
It actually came down to a very specific board meeting. We were looking at doing purely utilitarian or doing something that would be a positive reflection on our community. I'll forever remember that meeting, particularly a very impassioned speech by our then chair, Mr. Art Morrow, on we had to have, in his words, we had to have the right front door to our community.
Air terminals are multi-generational, right? You don't build a terminal for 5 years, you build it for many, many years. So to have the right impression on the passengers, to finally put Winnipeg on the world map in terms of having a state-of-the-art building, that was important.
We had a design team with Stantec that had done most of the other large terminals within Canada. The integral design with the baggage system with the dual domestic and transborder integration for the drops and processing at the time was something new. Overall, you know, the processing was looking at the common use aspect with the gate counters and the boarding bridges at the time. You go to the old building, it was you know, the carriers own their own counters, the carriers have their own bridges. So coming over to this building where it was the common use piece, where every carrier could have used, you know, every position was unique at the time.
A lot of the design incorporated sustainable features, mainly focused on energy efficiency and emissions reduction. And so, for example, we have high efficiency lighting and heating systems in the building. The planning team had a lot of foresight. They wanted to ensure that we were building a sustainable building that would be beneficial to our neighbors and our community.
If you look at, say, 2 weeks before the terminal opened, and you looked at this terminal, you would have never thought that we would have got there. And those 2 weeks were incredibly stressful, lots of late hours to make sure that we were ready to open.
We had every person on deck, like everybody that was here, you know, employed was basically here helping out in some way. Everything that we could do just to make sure that what the public saw was that calm duck on the surface of the water.
I remember the day very clearly. My role was to make sure that all of the aircraft arrived safely at the old terminal at the gates 22 to 30. After the passengers and bags were offloaded, I had to move the aircraft to the new terminal.
I remember sleeping in the morning a bit, couldn't really go and have something to eat, and then coming into the old terminal at about 9 o'clock. I helped push a photocopier over and plug it in with some of our corporate IT folks.
People were starting to come in, and one individual, this guy walks up and he's looking like he's lost, and he's looking around, and he turns to me and says, "What city am I in?" First time through the airport, new terminal building, he lost track of where he was. He thought he was somewhere else because this isn't the building that he left in.
That first flight that came in, I remember standing at the bottom of the escalators with Don Kohinski, and the first passengers that came down that escalator, you know, we put our arms around each other and we looked at each other and we said, "We did it."
If you look back the last 10 years, the airport, you know, save and except for the pandemic, grew over 1 million passengers in the 10 years, which was fantastic. I mean, it's testament to the building, the capacity we needed, and what we're able to deliver for the community.
This building has never been about just being a building. It's like everything else we do. It has to serve a bigger purpose. It has to serve our why, or else it's failed. And I think it's that vision that we've always had about we're here to serve our community, that's very positively reflected in what we have here.